Everything began with an unexpected late-night Instagram Live in which clearly distressed Erica Mena revealed a shocking rumor that sounded too scandalous even for love and hip-hop. Atlanta. The horrific turn of events has caused rumors to spiral out of hand, with rumors circulating that Mendeecees Harris is the father of Erica's covert pregnancy, according to DNA results. Fans are surprised to learn that Erica was mysteriously hospitalized after an angry Yandy Smith Harris allegedly confronted her in a private meeting that went confrontational. The reality TV community was in shock as charges of treachery and dishonesty swept through social media. According to rumors, family members were left unsure of whom to believe. Angry phone conversations reverberated in the night, and text messages were leaked. According to insider sources, hospital professionals expressed concerns about Erica's injuries, and friends of the pair are reportedly afraid for the safety of both ladies. Mendeecees, meantime, is missing. Did he run away in fear, or is he concealing a more sinister secret? Keep checking back as we reveal every detail of this startling tale, in which devoted followers are clamoring for clarifications while the truth is concealed beneath layers of debate. Every nerve in Erica Mena's body shook like a leaf in a storm as she forced her way through the cafe's glass entrance, her breath trapped in her throat. It was as though the entire world outside had been replaced by a wide, empty nothingness, and the rich aroma of roasted coffee beans and the pleasant murmur of conversation that usually felt soothing now sounded strange. She noticed that Yandy Smith Harris was sitting in the corner of the booth with her arms folded across her chest and her eyes unblinking and icy. Every pound of Erica's heart served as a painful reminder of the sealed packet she was holding, the one that contained her future and tore apart her past. The words stuck in her head, no matter how many times she read them. A DNA analysis revealed that Mendeecees Harris is the biological father of Erica Mena's pregnant child, probability 91.9%. Her senses were overwhelmed by recollections of late-night conversations and laughing, including the first time that Wendy had brought her to this cafe and the innumerable afternoons she had spent curling up with a hot latte and sharing her worries and dreams in the safe harbor of their friendship. However, all of the treasured memories suddenly felt contaminated, as if the haven of those times had been permanently destroyed. Erica slid into the booth across from Yandy, her back flattened against the cool vinyl seat, her fingers so unsteady she could hardly steady the seal. Normally friendly and hospitable, Yandy's eyes had been chipped with treachery, becoming accusing and glaring. Erica's pulse pounded so loudly in the silence that followed that she wasn't sure Yandy could hear anything else. At last, as though it were a detonator that would ignite her reality, Yandy reached forward and laid the envelope on the table between them. "Open it," Yandy ordered in a harsh, low voice. Eric's chest constricted. As she raised the paper and unfolded it with a surety she both dreaded and craved, her throat felt dry and raw. Her fate was written on the loan sheet, which was plain and unadorned. The DNA test results confirmed Mendeecees Harris as the father, probability 91.9%, in a strong black print that stood out against the white background. Erica's stomach fell out in a free fall, leaving her breathless, and her vision constricted to that one declaration. Tears filled her eyes and made them blurry as she attempted to look up at Yandy. Her voice trembled like an autumn leaf as she muttered, "I didn't mean for any of this." In response, Yandy's jaw tensed, and she spoke in a brittle whisper. "Didn't mean to what? Betray me? Take my husband?" Each charge struck like a blow, causing Erica's chest to flame with new feelings of terror and guilt. With few words, Erica managed to say, "It wasn't like that. I was afraid. I believed that you and Mendeecees were done. You two were split up," he said. "I never meant to." She trailed off, unable to complete the sentence. It felt like a living creature, the raw pain in her chest. Yandy's mouth twisted into a dejected, sour grin. "You had a mistaken thought." Her face was just inches from Erica's as she moved across the booth till her elbow was resting on the edge of the table. "I never cheated on you. I never told you lies. And you knew exactly what you were doing as you sat here day after day." Erica took a trembling breath and closed her eyes. She begged, "Please try to understand. I believe that I could resolve this without causing harm to anyone." With a raised voice, Yandy spat, "You fixed nothing. You made my life seem like a circus. Everybody is talking about you, making fun of you, and criticizing you. You are being torn apart by blogs, Instagram, and Twitter." Erica swallowed the vomit that rose as she opened her eyes and covered her mouth with her palm. She whispered, "I'm so sorry." However, Yandy wasn't done. After a tense stillness, Yandy sprang forward and grabbed Erica's wrist with unexpected force. Erica felt agony pierce her hand and suppressed a gasp. "You believe apologizing will make this go away?" Yandy hissed. "You believe your apologies are credible?" She abruptly pushed Erica backward. Erica fell hard after stumbling and striking her heel on the table leg. An intense pain shot up her arm when her wrist struck the tiled floor. Her head followed, making a painful cracking sound in her skull as it struck the marble edge of the table. As the globe tilted and the lights above burst into a constellation of dazzling stars, the taste of copper filled her mouth. Suddenly the music, the murmur of discussion, and even Yandy's angry yelling subsided into a far-off roar. Erica's vision briefly became sharper before the blackness engulfed her. The antiseptic sting of hospital air filled her senses when she eventually came to. Even though she wanted she could disappear, the heart monitor's constant beep felt like a taunt, and each pulse served as a reminder that she was still alive. The IV in her arm served as a lifeline connecting her to a world she didn't recognize as she lay on a small stretcher with clean white linens wrapped around her. She blinked against the fluorescent glare as her head buzzed and her eyesight swam. Every heartbeat made her wrist throb, and a thick bandage encased it in a cocoon of agony. Her body resisted her attempts to sit up as nausea set in. She flinched when a soft hand touched her shoulder. A nurse leaned forward, a mask of professional concern covering her features. The nurse whispered, "Take it easy. Your fall has been difficult. While we conduct certain tests, I need you to lie motionless." The voice of Erica came out as a croak. "Where am I?" The nurse grinned empathetically. "Central General. You were brought in following the events at the cafe. You hurt your wrist after hitting your head. For a minor concussion, the doctor wants to keep you under observation." Erica nodded and closed her eyes for a moment, the embarrassment and pain forming a knot in her chest. Like a never-ending horror movie, the memories of the shove, the fall, and the package flashed behind her closed eyelids. She felt stupid for ever thinking she could hide her pregnancy and for relying on Mendeecees to protect her from prying eyes. On the tray next to her, her phone buzzed. Her gut churned with dread as she looked at the screen. Messages, alerts, text after text. DNA results confirm paternity scandal. Mendeecees in hiding. Erica hospitalized after Yandy's attack. She closed her eyes once more after dropping the phone back onto the tray like it was a hot coal. Her chest knot grew tighter. She only hoped it would be on her terms because she had known the truth would be out. It was all out of control now. Her room's door squeaked open. A man crept in, a look of fear, guilt, and what could have been affection on his face. Mendeecees Harris was standing in the doorway with his tie unfastened around his neck and his suit jacket rumpled. His eyes, fatigued and bloodshot, met hers. A part of her still yearned for certainty even though she no longer trusted him. He moved carefully towards her, as uncertain if she wanted him there. At last he knelt next to her bed and gently placed his hand on her wrist after lingering over hers. "Erica," he muttered, his voice full of passion. "I'm really sorry." She blinked through her tears as she turned to face him. "Where did you go?" Her voice was a delicate thread as she managed. "This could have been avoided by you." In anguish, he closed his eyes. "Yandy first showed me the outcomes. I thought you were lying because of her. I was unsure of what to think." Her stomach turned to ice as a new wave of betrayal swept through her. With each syllable of pain, she whispered, "You believed her." He lowered his head and said, "Instead of me. I was afraid. Fearful of losing you, afraid of losing her." Erica briefly caught a glimpse of the guy she had once loved, the one who had murmured promises of eternity. when he raised his eyes to meet hers. But now, lies and murmurs had shattered that bow. She averted her gaze and let her tears fall carelessly into the immaculate white linens. Her voice was hardly heard as she muttered, "I'm pregnant." He seemed to steel himself by closing his eyes. "I understand," he said. "I wish I had approached you sooner." She looked for genuineness on his face, but all she saw was regret and sadness. She was reminded of how far away this place was from the haven she had discovered in the cafe by flickering corridor lights outside and the soft buzz of the medical staff. Realizing that there would be little help in the days ahead, she experienced a twinge of loneliness. She fought the need to check her phone when it buzzed once again. The world simply required spectacle. It did not deserve her suffering. Instead, she focused on nothing and allowed her gaze to wander to the ceiling. Another presence was indicated by a gentle rap on the door. Resita Frost entered the room with a cautious yet worried gaze. She moved carefully towards the bedside, seemingly uncertain if she would be welcome. Eric's chest constricted. Rashida had been a friend and a support system throughout difficult times, but now allegiances were strained and muddled. Resita looked first at Mendeecees and then at Erica. "How are things going with you?" she asked softly in a quiet voice. Erica's mouth quivered. "I'm in pain." Resita pulled a chair near the bedside and nodded. "We'll work this out," she muttered. "But you need to rest right now." With a lot of unsolved questions, Erica gulped. How would she protect her child? How could she deal with the consequences? And what would happen to her profession, her friendships, and her faith in love? Erica felt the weight of their silence descend upon her like a shroud as Resita and Mendeecees shared a glance in the corner of her eye. There was no going back now that the truth had come out with a vengeance. Erica closed her eyes, new tears running down her cheeks and her body exploding with fatigue. She knew that once the world found out about her secret, nothing would ever be the same again, and that the battle ahead would require every last bit of her might. Erica Mena was dragged into a restless haze where intense agony and remorse fought for control of her consciousness as her eyes fluttered shut and tiredness swept over her in unrelenting waves. Her heartbeat was accentuated by the stereo clang of equipment and the sound of faraway voices outside her privacy curtain, making every breath feel like she was breathing in glass fragments. The quiet footfall and whispered voices of the physicians and nurses in the hallway blended into a low hum that seemed disconnected from the turmoil going on within Erica's life. Images flashed through her mind like a broken film reel as she slipped in and out of consciousness. Mendeecees' shoulders sunk in shame, Resita's soft hand grasping her own, and Yandy's accusing look. Family members began to arrive in the waiting room as the hours passed. Erica's mother, holding a crumpled piece of tissue, her eyes stained with tears. Her younger brother, who was determined to maintain his composure despite the lines of anxiety forming on his face, and her father, whose normally steady gaze was clouded with concern. With their fingers stroking the plastic frames of their masks as if seeking comfort, they exchanged surreptitious looks. When the nurse opened the sliding door for a standard inspection, Erica's father moved forward. "How is she doing?" With a tone of both relief and fear, he inquired. The nurse nodded in a formal manner. "She is stable. Her wrist fracture was properly set, and she has mild concussion symptoms. Although she is still being watched, there are no indications that anything is wrong." With a tremulous moan, her mother slid into a neighboring chair, her shoulders trembling. Outside, the hospital's waiting room TV crackled with breaking news. DNA results confirm paternity in love and hip-hop feud. Celebrity scandal intensifies. Erica floated, half listening, her mind circling the rumors that would float around her indefinitely. She thought back to when she first found out she was expecting. The hesitant hope that perhaps, just possibly, she and Mendeecees could create something enduring before the gossip started, before Yandy's mistrust had spread like a poison vine. She spoke to Natalie in frantic, hushed tones at the beginning, carefully arranging a conversation with the Mendeecees to softly reveal the facts. However, everything fell apart as Yandy called out, her voice booming, and demanded evidence. Scared of hurting Yandy, being judged, losing Mendeecees, and most of all, being afraid for her unborn child, Erica had been overcome by fear. Now the child's future was in jeopardy due to upcoming trial rumors and publicity. She was startled out of her thoughts by a gentle knock, and as the door opened, she saw Reseda Frost, with a complex mix of resolution and pity on her face. With a soft click that sounded like a verdict, Reseda slipped inside and shut the door. She went to Elizabeth's bedside and put a soft hand on her shoulder. "How are you feeling?" With a quiet voice and a quiver that betrayed her composure, she asked. With every muscle in her body objecting to the effort, Erica managed a feeble nod. With a voice as fragile as shattered glass, she muttered, "I'm hanging on." Reseda's eyes shifted. Mendeecees, who was kneeling next to the bed with his hand uncomfortably lingering over Erica's uninjured one before he found the strength to take it. Reseda's throat was cleaned. "We must choose our next course of action. Every action we take will be closely examined by the media, which is already looking into every aspect." With a new wave of sickness hitting her, Erica closed her eyes. Even though she knew it was impossible, she whispered, "I just want quiet." With a gentle sigh, Reseda pulled up a chair and took a seat next to Mendeecees. She said, "There's a strategy meeting at 2, adopting the cool, collected tone of an experienced mediator. A statement has been prepared by our counsel for public publication. He wants us to stress that the paternity results are correct and that Erica was the victim of assault." Mendeecees' eyes were watering as he clasped Eric's hand. "It will validate all of Yandy's claims if we reveal that immediately." Erica opened her eyes and fixed her focus on his. With a shaky exhale, she stated, "We have no choice." Though she understood that remaining silent would be viewed as guilt, the idea of making a public statement made her stomach turn. With tears shining in her eyes, her mother pressed a tissue into her hand. Her mother whispered, "You're not alone, sweetheart. We'll be there for you no matter what." Erica swallowed hard against the new sting of tears and nodded. Every look and every rumor that circulated on social media made her feel heady. As a doctor returned to the room with a chart in hand, the lights in the corridor flickered overhead. "Ms. I'm going to order a few more tests, Mena," he remarked in a soft voice. "We must make sure your wrist is still mending properly and that there is no internal bleeding." Eric's chest constricted. "All right," she muttered. He set the chart down on a stand close by. "We will return soon. Try to get some sleep." Erica nodded before he slid out, leaving her to listen to the steady presence of Mendeecees and the gentle beep of machinery. With his thumb resting on her cheek, he moved a lock of hair off her forehead. "I apologize," he mouthed, his remorse greater than any reprimand. Erica closed her eyes and wished the agony away. As a reminder of why she had to go through this, she imagined the little flutter of her unborn kid against her ribs. A TV team battled over a quotation somewhere in the hallway, and voices increased. Reseda got up and moved to the doorway, partially removing the curtain. "They're out there," she stated in a tone that was equal parts desperation and frustration. "Reporters want a statement since the cameras are rolling." Erica's heart fell. The outer world was already poised to attack, eager to bring her down. With a searing agony telling her that the shove from Yandy had caused more than just mental wounds, she pressed her hand to her bandaged wrist. When a nurse came back, she assisted Mendeecees in removing the locket from his old chain and gave it to Erica. A tiny picture of Erica and their unborn child's first sonogram was included. "Look after this," he muttered. "Never give up hope, no matter what." Erica's breath caught as she held the locket to her chest and reminisced about better times. She would be brutalized and torn apart by the outside world, but this small memento reminded her of the reason she had to fight. With every step being a new effort, she held on to it as the nurse led her down the hall to the imaging suite. Each of the fluorescent lights in the hallway appeared to shine more brightly, highlighting her suffering. Her thoughts were filled with threats of lawsuits, custody disputes, and incessant rumors as she slid onto the small table for the next scan. However, she made herself breathe steadily and remind herself that her child was safe for the time being, sheltered in her womb and oblivious to the chaos outside. The scan went quickly, and the machine's steady hum was a chilly solace. The technician gave a gentle nod when it was done. "Everything appears stable," she remarked. As the tech helped her sit up and got her back on the gurney, Erica let out a sigh of relief. The nurse led her back to her room, where Mendeecees was waiting with a worried expression on his face. Rosita was whispering urgently on her phone. She mouthed to the Mendeecees, "The statement is ready." He inhaled deeply and looked directly into Erica's eyes. "Are you certain you wish to proceed?" His voice cracked as he whispered. Even though her heart was racing, Erica nodded slowly. "We must," she answered quietly. "If we remain silent, Yandy's claims will stand." He briefly put his forehead to hers before taking a step back. Erica leaned back against the pillows and gripped the locket as Rosita and Mendeecees got ready to make their statement to the cameras that were waiting. The fluorescent corridor lights had dimmed, and the world outside her window had grown dark. In preparation for the tempest she was about to unleash, she closed her eyes. There will never be any peace within these sterile walls again, she realized as the rumors circulated mercilessly. Under the continuous beep of the heart monitor, Erica Mena reclined against the white blankets, her pulse a slow drum. She felt as though every breath she drew was burdened by 1,000 whispers due to the oppressive stench of the hospital room. Outside, the world she used to confidently traverse has devolved into a whirlpool of news stories, gossip, and strained relationships. An hour ago, Mendeecees and Rashida made the well-crafted declaration, "Erica Mena is the victim of assault," which was widely shared on social media and in television programs. The findings of the DNA test verifying paternity are correct. During this trying time, we kindly request your privacy and respect. However, nothing felt settled even as those words were being spoken. The announcement had not provided answers. Rather, it had stoked speculation and raised new questions. Both supporters and detractors analyzed every word, arguing over motivations, laying blame, and openly speculating about whether legal action or custody disputes would ensue. Erica closed her eyes, allowing fatigue to overtake her, but it provided no solace. Like a warped movie reel, she kept seeing pictures of the shove. The table slipping as Erica's wrist gave way under her weight, the iced coffee vase tumbling, and Yandy's hand shooting through the air. A brutal punctuation mark to a betrayal that went far deeper than any physical blow, the last crack of her head against the tile still reverberated in her skull. She grounded herself in the physical world by rubbing her fingertips on the warm metal of the IV pole. Mendeecees sat close by, staring at the floor while sipping a cup of lukewarm hospital coffee. The depression behind his eyes and the fall of his shoulders bore the weight of their predicament. When Rosita returned, her face urgent, he raised his head. She said in a professional tone, "They're calling us for a live interview in 15 minutes. You must be able to think clearly." Bile rose up in Erica's throat. "I can't," she said in a hoarse whisper. "I'm barely surviving." Rosita remained steadfast. "You must. They will write us off before we can even breathe if we don't stop the rumors." With tears streaming down her cheeks, Erica closed her eyes. It was intolerable to think of being in front of cameras and microphones while yet feeling betrayed. However, she was aware that Rashida was correct. This was their opportunity to control the conversation and give the world her version of events before they were completely destroyed. Mendeecees stood up and walked across the room while holding her shoulder. Quietly, he said, "We'll do it together. Yandy has already publicly attacked you. We must react." Erica took a trembling breath and nodded. A hospital aide and a makeup artist arrived in a matter of minutes, straightening her hair and applying concealer beneath her eyes to cover up the dark circles. Victoria gazed at her image in the tiny vanity mirror. She hardly recognized the lady staring back at her, with her wounded eyes, hollow cheeks, and trembling lips when she spoke. She resisted the need to turn away. Even if it felt like she was going through a maze of lies, she would confront this. The hospital room was turned into a staged set when the camera crew arrived, complete with highlights, a wall-mounted backdrop of encouraging family photos, and a number of microphones aimed at Erica. The journalist cleared her throat. "Miss, could you tell us how you're feeling at the moment, Mena?" With her bandaged hand to her heart, Erica inhaled. "I'm still processing everything," she said, her voice trembling. "I have never experienced such agony in my life as I have in the last 24 hours." She looked at Mendeecees, who nodded encouragingly as she stabilized herself. She went on, speaking into the ruthlessly reflecting lenses. "I was betrayed by someone I considered a friend. However, I also think that truth has power. I take responsibility for my acts, and the DNA results are correct. I acknowledge my mistakes and am sorry for any hurt I may have caused." The reporter raised his eyebrows and leaned forward. "So you acknowledge having an affair with Mr. Harris?" Erica swallowed. "Yes," she murmured quietly. "It took place. It was an error brought on by uncertainty and dread. I never meant to cause harm to anyone." The microphones were buzzing. "How do you respond to Ms. Smith Harris, who alleges that you deceived her and purposefully concealed a pregnancy?" Erica's eyes shifted to the monitor behind the reporter, where the name of Yandy was displayed. "I sincerely apologize," she said in a husky voice. "I can't justify the way I handled things. I can relate to her suffering." She hesitated and squeezed Mendeecees' hand. "I'm hoping that we can all get better. My child's welfare is now my top priority, and I kindly need your understanding and privacy while I concentrate on getting better." The reporter gave a nod. "Thank you, Ms. Mena." Before the cameras turned off and the lights went down, Erica gave a little, rehearsed smile. With a new surge of relief and fear sweeping over her, she slumped back against the pillow. As soon as the interview aired, the barrage of alerts began again, with armchair critics discussing her future, adversaries denouncing her treachery, and fans applauding her honesty. Erica buried her face in the pillow, longing for the straightforward anonymity that she had lost. Resita drew a chair near the bed and began browsing through a tablet while the crew eventually departed. "The damage is severe," she stated in a frustrated tone. "We're popular all over the world. Charity endorsements have halted overnight, and reality TV producers are thinking of canceling your show." Eric's chest constricted. She said, "I knew it wouldn't be easy. I simply had no idea how it would feel." Mendeecees grasped her hand as he squatted across from her. His voice was taut with resolve as he continued, "We'll figure it out. We'll defend our child." Erica closed her eyes and allowed his words to fill her head. The world felt so uncertain, yet she wanted to believe him. Almost instantly after the next knock, security personnel led Yandy inside the room while her face was a tight mask of emotion. Erica gasped for air. With each step resounding like a guilty conviction, she watched as Yandy crossed the threshold, her heels clicking on the shiny floor. In an implicit challenge, Yandy paused at the foot of the bed with his arms folded. With a hard, sharp gaze between them, Erica lifted her head. Yandy's harsh tone belied something primal behind it: hurt, fury, and betrayal. "I came to see if you're okay," she added. Erica swallowed forcefully, her eyes flaming with misery. With a shaky voice, she started, But Yandy interrupted. "Don't." Yandy's face contorted. "I can't do this again." Crocodile tears, fake apologies. "I was injured by you, Erica. My life was ruined by you." Erica's eyes filled with tears. She wanted to talk, to reach out, but shame smothered her voice. "I apologize," she muttered. For a brief moment, Yandy's eyes softened before she shook her head. "I'm sorry, but it doesn't change what you did." She paused before turning away as though to go. "The baby, you believe that just because you are carrying his child, you can get away with it?" Erica's throat shut. "I'm not sure," she muttered. "I didn't request any of this." Erica became aware of the extent of Yandy's suffering, which she had contributed to, as her shoulders began to slump. After saying sharply, "Get some rest," Yandy left, the door clicking behind her. The ensuing quiet seemed empty, like a stage that has been cleared of performers. Mendeecees and Resita exchanged anxious looks as Erica's tears fell across the pillow. Resita whispered gently, as if comforting herself, "She's hurting too." Mendeecees leaned back in his chair and looked off into space. He said, "I don't know how to fix this." Erica extended her hand and ran her fingertips over his knuckles. Her voice was hardly heard as she stated, "We'll start by being honest." She discovered a spark of resolve deep inside herself, even if her words trembled as much as her palm. She made the decision to confront them head-on at all costs, despite the merciless rumors that were circulating. As the day went on, lengthy shadows were cast through the blinds as the sun dropped lower. Erica gathered her strength, closed her eyes, and pressed her forehead against the cool pillow. More conflicts would arise tomorrow, including demands for custody, legal threats, and the constant clicking of shutters by the paparazzi. But tonight, clinging to the hope of fresh life within herself, she gave herself a brief moment of fragile tranquility. As the night shift started, the hospital lights faded a little, and Erica Mena fell into a deep sleep, the world outside her window a haze of hope and uncertainty. There will never be any peace within these sterile walls again, she realized as the rumors circulated mercilessly. When Erica woke up to a fresh flurry of notifications, the sun had already set. The headlines on her phone, which was resting on the bedside tray, were sharp as jagged blades. Is a custody battle imminent? Lawyers are getting ready to sue Yandy, and Mendeecees remain mute while the scandal continues. With the muffled noise of her concussion causing her to question whether she would ever feel at rest again, she pushed her palm on her forehead. Mendeecees and Reseda were silently studying legal documents in the corner. When Erica's eyelids opened, their whispered conversation came to a sudden halt. "How are you feeling?" In a soft voice, he inquired. Despite her innards churning with uncertainty, she forced a slight nod. Both of them were aware that the fight was not just about her bodily injuries. Soon later, a hospital social worker knocked and came in with a tidy stack of files. "Ms. Mena, good evening," she said politely. "I'm here to answer any questions you may have regarding what will happen to you when you leave and to talk about the next steps for your care." Eric's chest constricted. She was terrified of discharge, since there would be no safety from the cameras and rumors once she left these confines. "We've set up home health visits for you to track your recuperation," the social worker went on. "A pediatrician is also available to discuss your pregnancy. I understand that you are feeling overwhelmed, but we will work with your legal team to make sure you have assistance." Erica swallowed back her emotions and nodded. She had hoped for a typical pregnancy, free from reality shows spin-offs and judicial dramas. Mendeecees softly shut the door behind the social worker at that precise moment. He walked over to Erica's bedside and put his hand there. He whispered, "They're drafting custody papers. Yandy wants joint custody as soon as the baby is born, according to her lawyer." The breath caught in Erica's throat. She had not anticipated that legal disputes would overshadow the birth of her child. "We cannot allow that to occur," she said, her eyes beginning to well up. With a hard stare, he squeezed her hand. He pledged, "We'll fight. Our child deserves a loving, secure home." Erica nodded as she braced herself for what was to come. Later that evening, as the hospital hallways became silent and the overhead lights went down, Erica lay in her bed in silence, the distant hum of the city coming in through the window. Reseda hovered in a chair close by, observing her anxiously. Reseda said, "You don't have to face this alone. I'll be there for you at every turn." Erica let out a breath, feeling a little less burden on her chest. "I'm grateful," she muttered. "I need you more than ever right now." Mendeecees came back with new documents, a temporary restraining order against Yandy, which was created to shield Erica from any future altercations. He unfurled the document after sliding into the chair next to Reseda. He stated, "We file this first thing tomorrow. After that, we begin negotiating custody." With a heavy but determined heart, Erica traced the lines on the paper with her gaze. An unsaid agreement was made between the three of them as they sat there in the dark light. Their lives, which had previously been characterized by laughing and cherished memories, would now be molded by court cases and public scrutiny. Even in her darkest moments, there were people who had faith in her and her child's future, which gave Erica a glimmer of hope as she fell asleep. She gave herself a little rest tonight in preparation for whatever lay ahead, but tomorrow's struggles awaited her just beyond the curtain. After hearing Erica's version of the tale, tell us if you think someone else bears any of the blame or if she really paid the price for her errors. Please share your ideas in the comments section below. Share your stories and make connections with people who understand if you have ever been betrayed or involved in family drama. If you want more intimate information on your favorite reality TV stars and their secrets, don't forget to hit the like button. You can also subscribe to receive updates on every development. This story is far from over, so be sure to hit the notification bell to ensure you never miss a new video. We appreciate you watching, and we hope to see you again as more startling information becomes available.